James Murdoch says he quit Father's news empire because it legitimizes disinformation. More context. His wife and family have changed him. James Murdoch resigns from News Corp board, citing disagreements over editorial content. www.hollywoodreporter.com/news/James Murdoch resigns News Corp board citing disagreements editorial content 1305446. James Murdoch slams Fox News and News Corporate over climate change denial. Younger son and his wife issued a rare public rebuke of the family's media empire and its promotion of climate change skeptics during Australia's bushfire crisis. www.thedailybeast.com/James Murdoch slams Fox News and News Corp over climate change denial. People are starting to point the finger at the Murdoch-run press now, and it is not looking good. Not that in Australia with our Murdoch press-backed government anything is going to be done here about it. Murdoch ruined Australia's chances at a full-fibre national broadband network. It is infuriating hearing everyone repeating the Murdoch talking points in the rag papers or TV news verbatim. His family is one of the most important factors behind the right-wing Americanization of the world's nations. Glad to see him getting out and calling the old man out. It's not just legitimizing disinformation, Fox is shaping the entire narrative some people live their lives by. People's entire worldview is being painted in front of them and they walk through it unknowing. Murdoch's taught lambs to think they're the wolves. A former Australian PM says the Murdoch media is a cancer on democracy. Perhaps Biden can do something concrete in the US. Season 4 of Succession is gonna be lit. Rupert Murdoch is the worst thing to happen to this world in my lifetime. I'm Canadian, out of the countries he tried to get his claws in, AUS, UK, USA, Can, only Canada didn't allow his brand of propaganda, i.e. dressing up opinion and editorial as actual news. Now you look, we're the only ones without a clown or a blatant fascist as a leader. Fox News is truly one of the worst things that happened to the US. The damage they have caused is unrepairable. Whoa Kendall, calm down. Edit, thanks for the gold, now fuck off. And it has been for decades. Why now? Pandora's box has been opened. The Fox News network, as well as the Trump presidency, has legitimized conspiracy theories and has aliened a portion of the population from ever believing the mainstream media. Even if Trump loses his election, I could imagine him forming his own media empire to run counter news 24/7 as his real estate business crumbles. There is no turning back. Facebook and Twitter should have done more in 2016. And frankly, given the interviews before 2020, I don't think Zuckerberg wants to intervene if at all if the spotlight wasn't on him. Truth does not matter in the future. Kendall Roy at his finest. Damn. Something shifted last week in the information war we are in. Q got banned, Project Veritas is being exposed yet again for being a fraud and they likely will be sued. DHS issued a warning about Russian propaganda, Rusiagate is being exposed as a hoax, Trump is such with the virus he called a hoax and can't stop that flood of bad news, and now we have Rupert's kids calling out his propaganda operation. We may finally be seeing the meltdown of the right-wing propaganda machine. If Fox News starts to rely more on anchors from the daytime and cans Tucker or Hannity, that would make a huge shift in politics. Read a little about his character before thinking he's doing anything noble. There's something going on elsewhere, this is pure politics. If you don't read the newspapers, you're uninformed. If you do read the newspapers, you're misinformed. Is disinformation the same as misinformation? Fuck, I cannot wait until that man is no longer with us. Kendall Roy does good. As an Australian, I am sick and tired of the climate denial. My parents, who I've thought were somewhat intelligent, have drunk so much right-wing Kool-Aid from Sky News Australia that I've given up hope for them. John Major testified at the Leveson inquiry that Rupert walked into his office at no. 10 and pretty much outright said, "We'd like to support your next election run, but we want you to change your stance on Europe, i.e. make it Conservative Party policy to leave the EU." Major made clear how it was the first time he'd ever been so directly invited to make policy in exchange for media support. Major denied him, and soon enough the up-and-coming Tony Blair was being invited to Murdoch's corporate strategy retreats. Blair gets official support from Murdoch's media empire, sweeps the election, and while he doesn't give anything away on Europe in that first term, he did immediately slacken off some rules that were preventing Murdoch from growing his empire in the UK. Blair's second term he gets continued support from Murdoch's red tops, but this time he does give something up on Europe. He sets his official policy on the euro, which is an important step in diverting Britain's political future. Brown is less interested in dealing with Murdoch, and what do you know, Cameron starts getting invited to Murdoch's social circuit, and it's the Tories that come out with the Sun's support for the next election. Upon getting in, Cameron's government doesn't wait long to further slacken the laws preventing Murdoch from expanding his empire in the UK. In exchange for his second term, Cameron gives away the referendum on Brexit. Murdoch's propaganda machine did the rest. The thing I've always wondered is why the fuck does some Australian cunt care whether Britain is in the EU or not? Is he just figuring this out now? Both Mr. Murdoch and his wife, Catherine, have in the past expressed frustration over News Corp titles' coverage of the Trump administration and climate change. Their foundation, Quadrivium, supports voter participation, democracy reform, and climate change projects. Top bloke, respect. It's a shame this won't have any bearing on the empire itself. Disinformation rules media, and over time it's gotten honed to a science. Too bad he quit. He was in a position to change things for the better as an insider. I think it's time for a class action claim against Rupert Murdoch, for spreading disinformation, undermining democracy, and directly contributing to social polarization and discord. Australia, the UK, and the USA all have numerous valid claims against him and his empire. And Lachlan isn't much better. At least James seems to get it. Logan Roy wouldn't have tolerated this. You're my number one boy, James. Suo succession IRL. Question for someone who is unbiased: if that person exists, sure CNN and MSNBC are biased, but are they creating anything remotely close to the insanity of Fox News opinion entertainment? I mean, we can say both sides have misinformation, but is Fox News truly worse than the left media? To me Fox News seems easily 10x worse, and not even in the same vein of misinformation, but maybe I'm biased. Wait, is this Kendall or Roman? Why come out and say you're against it? Why not sabotage it from the inside and play the bad guy? Should have stuck with the company, taken over, and then changed it for the better after Murdoch died. Is this the real Kendall Roy? The Times reports that in the 2020 election cycle he has donated to Pete Buttigieg and has given £1.23 £940,000 to Joe Biden, whom he intends to vote for in next month. Weird, I don't remember hearing anything about this on Fox News. Who repealed the Fairness Doctrine? Then follow the dollar and connections. Better late than never. I don't believe him. Lie with dogs, get fleas. However, I hope I'm wrong, but he needs to do way more to prove it. For any Australians out there, sign this petition for a royal commission into this issue. https://www.f.gov.au/petition_list, ID equals N1938. Too bad his brother is a huge POS who is all in. The new agenda is anti-China, and this one can run for a long, long time. We need new enemies to justify casually and continually spending billions and trillions on the military.